My name is Jason Glenn. I serve in the information technology industry with a focus in cybersecurity, and I'm a subject matter expert in governance, risk, and compliance. I first went to BEYA in 2010. I was a freshman, my second semester in school. And the first semester, I ran around with upperclassmen and just thoroughly enjoyed myself. I will say that. However, the other thing I will say is that's when I kept that tenacity and that level of challenge to go after opportunity. And that was all the career fair was about. And that was the most exciting piece for me. Besides all the fun and the partying, I can do that well. But the challenging part for me was, who's that company that's gonna wanna give me an internship? Who's that company that's gonna wanna hire me after I obtain my 4-year degree? It was like a big time artist walking out on the stage to a sold out concert. For me, I looked at it as I was a prize winner. And even though I looked at my competitors left and right, it didn't faze me because I knew there was only one me in that whole entire room. And it was more about, you got to give them the best version of you so that they don't pay attention to anybody else. And I did that my first year. I tackled that, and I took home with me, just notes, and people that I networked with told me where I can improve, told me how to get to the next level, and just poured into me. And then outside of the professional realm, the partying galore, I think me and Rod probably partied more times than we can count. I thoroughly enjoyed just fellowshipping, big socialite, so the socialization that came with being at BEYA and just being amongst the swarm of my colleagues. All, people within engineering, all verses of engineering, all disciplines of engineering, but being able to see how all of these intelligent individuals can come together and have just the most phenomenal time with little to zero issue. And that was my first experience at BEYA. I said, how do you get thousands of people together? Intelligent people, I mean, people who can do calculus and, calculus 3 and all these, rigorous maths and sciences. And probably your best partiers you'll ever find in any city you go to. How does this happen? So it was definitely one to experience. So after I got out the fun part, my very next experience, I took my grandmother with me. And it was all business, actually. It was my junior year. I said, hey, it's time to tighten down. You gotta get an internship. School's coming to a close. You gotta get to the next level and find out what that is. So it was literally all business for me. And that year, it was all about learning. It was all about just being a sponge and being everywhere. The seminars I attended that I didn't go to my first time around. First time was just all about the career fair. But this time, I wanted to hear people speak. I wanted to hear speakers speak on subjects that I found applicable to where I was going or the path that I was trying to navigate. Even doing that, still giving attention to my grandmother to show her how important this is and this was and why I do what I do. But beyond that, for her to see me in my own element. Because it's one thing to see you when you're around your family, right? There's that version of you. Then there's the other version of you when you're at work and you're in your professional space and you're doing what you do. So for her to see that in her grandson, I don't think she dropped her smile from the time that we left Northwest DC all the way back to Baltimore. She was just amazed. She was shocked. She was like, I knew you were great, but the way you worked the room and the way you talked to this recruiter and the way you was able to be agile in your conversation, she was like, that was just phenomenal. Like, I've never seen anything like that. And she just raved for 45 minutes straight all the way home about my ability, my talent, the value that I can bring to any table that I desire to sit at. For her, it was just like, I see phenomenal things in you, and as long as you go with God, you'll get anywhere you want to go. The highway is yours. There is no end. And, from there on, anytime I brought up cyber, IT, fraternity, she already knew, hey, go be great. That was always the last statement. Hey, go be great. I know you're gonna do it, but I just want you to be reminded of who you are, what you are, where you came from, and where exactly you desire to go. You can be great doing those things because I've already seen the untapped talent in you. So that was my BEYA experience. Totally enjoyable. The networking for me was immensely critical. As I could say, I met so many people from so many different backgrounds and so many different industries who have helped me along the way. Whether it was a conversation, whether it was an introduction, or whether it was an interview and them possibly hiring me for a position, it's all helped. Some have passed off books to me. Some have passed off speeches. Some have passed off education, and I like to call them teachable moments. Some have challenged me, right? Some have told me no, and just to see if I would come back and keep going, or if I would just stop and freeze. So I must say that BEYA was a building ground for me to explore my own talents. It was an opportunity for me to challenge my own self, because that's all I ever believe. It's just me against me.